Sports Network, ESPN 94.9, The Fan.
30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. It's the George Plaster Show, featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famers Kelly Holcomb and young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It is a cloudy, rainy Friday. But the good news is the weekend is upon us. The bad news, the Grizzlies had to play the second half last night. Wow. What an absolute collapse. Up by 26 at the half and got beat going away. Not good. Hello, Billy.
Hello, George. How we doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Reporting live from Clifton, Tennessee.
Clifton is where exactly?
It's about 2 hours southwest. It's on the way to Memphis. And it's actually, ironically, only a couple hours away from Oxford, Mississippi, where Vandy plays Ole Miss tonight. Hopefully they get that game in. We got a lot of rain last night and then today, so only able to play 9 holes today. But we got a little bit of golf.
The game?
No, I'm not.
Okay. So let me kind of tell people a little bit about what's going on. Obviously, we're not at the Fordyce Center in Bellevue today. Billy's wearing his new hat that he's so proud of. Probably didn't pay for. We now have a quarterback who is the number 1 draft pick in Cam Ward. And obviously, a lot of the show today will be about the NFL draft. In fact, as I look, virtually all of it.
How about it? I don't think it surprised anybody. But the coolest part of it all, I think, was what we're probably going to get into. But Warren Moon handing off his number 1 baby blue jersey to Cam Ward, which I don't know that. I mean, I'm sure we knew Cam Ward would like to wear number 1, but that was a really cool gesture.
Yeah, and I guess that picture that they showed, I guess, is that the new jersey?
Yeah, that's the new that's their new normal jersey, the baby blue Oiler, which I think we had in an update not too long ago. That would be the new jersey,
right?
So, and we've actually got a picture of Warren and Cam handing off the jersey there to Cam Ward. There it is, which is really cool.
So today at 4:00, you will hear the Cam Ward press conference. It's not all that long, and I wouldn't call it earth-shattering by any stretch, but it was nice to be able to hear him. I had a chance to listen to it, and so we got a lot to get into. And Billy, I don't guess we're going to waste any time. Let's go.
Yeah, we got a big update. It's brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. You can find her online at mortgagelady.usa.com or give her a call, 615-969-4350. Shedeur Sanders in the news, all over the news, actually, not selected in the first round of the NFL draft. And there's a lot of speculation he may not be picked tonight either, which I don't think many of us expected for the first 3 rounds for Shedeur Sanders not to be picked. Of course, it was all over ESPN today that Ryan Clark, former Steeler, of course, and a lot of other Steeler fans probably anticipating that first-round Steeler pick to be Shedeur Sanders. It was a defensive lineman from NC State, Derek Harmon. And George, we'll see where Shedeur lands.
Well, one of the themes to me that's not being brought up is, okay, so teams are rejecting him, so to speak, at least so far. Are they really rejecting him, or is it his dad that they don't want anywhere near? And think about that, because Deion Sanders is a very aggressive personality. He said a lot of things over the last year when it comes to Shedeur. I do wonder whether teams are more leery of Shedeur and his playing ability and some of the problems that Watson Brown detailed yesterday, or is it more they don't want to have to deal with Deion?
Probably a little bit of both. I mean, it feels like the rest of the league sort of realized that Shedeur Sanders is not worth a first-round pick. So did the Steelers, of course. And after the draft last night, Sanders said, "We all didn't expect this, of course, but I feel like with God, anything's possible. Everything's possible. I don't feel like this happened for no reason. All of this is fuel to the fire."
So it seems like Cleveland and Pittsburgh both probably are going to have the opportunity to go after him. Cleveland drafts before the Titans do tonight. I kind of think they're going to take him. But if they don't, what signal does that send? Because it seems like whatever the signal is, it's a strong one.
It is. And you mentioned the Browns. They have the first pick here tonight, which the second round starts at 6 o'clock here in a few hours. They have the fourth pick tonight as well. So the Browns are looking really good. The Bears have a couple of early picks tonight as well. But, George, I want to get to this, and probably should have started this, but the Titans last night, it got out that they rejected a trade from the New York Giants. The Giants, of course, had the 5th overall pick, and they ended up going, of course, who did the Giants go with? The Raiders got Ashton Genty.
Giants went with Abdul Carter.
That's right.
From Penn State.
So the Titans rejected a trade request from the Giants. The Titans would have gotten next year's first overall pick. Of course, they would have given up this year's, but some other picks as well. There's some controversy there. Should the Titans have accepted that trade request from the Giants? And there's also talk that, hey, if the Titans would have looked closer at Sam Darnold, maybe there was a chance this year in this draft to take Ashton Genty, and you set up your offense with Darnold. And again, who knows how eager the Titans were to go out and get Sam Darnold, but there's a ton of talk about that trade being denied by the Titans.
Okay, a couple of thoughts on it. Only time will tell whether Cam Ward emerges as some super duper quarterback where everybody can look back and say, see, they did the right thing. Or are you going to look back and go, good Lord, how dumb was that to give up all those things that the Giants offered? Part of the reason that they've come in for this level of speculation, and let's just be honest, in the last 5 to 10 years, their draft picks are a joke. You could walk in with damn near anybody the day of the draft, read one of these mock drafts, and do exactly as well, if not better, than the Titans have done. Their 3rd through 7th round picks are disgraceful. The problem is their 1st round picks aren't all that good either. And so, that opens up the speculation of what are they doing? And then the second piece of all this is, what level of involvement is she being Amy Adams Strunk? Because I've got a suspicion with no proof that she's meddling in the team's affairs. Since Vrabel has left, she seems a lot more engaged in being at all this stuff and, the photo ops that go with it. Who knows? But it's stuff you wonder about.
Yeah, like I said, the Giants, they offered to trade up from their number 3 spot. Titans denied it, and that tells you how locked in on Cam Ward the Titans were. And we'll see. Of course,
only
what
time will
happens.
tell.
So again, like I mentioned, the rest of the 2nd and 3rd round of the draft tonight. Cleveland Browns will have the first pick tonight. Titans have the third pick. And we'll get into some of the players that they'll be targeting there with Terry McCormick coming up a little bit later. But also, George, you mentioned the Grizzlies game. In that game last night, first of all, I know Morant got hurt, and you got up by 27. You should win that game. But the bigger news,
helpless.
Yeah, the bigger news, of course, John Morant, he will miss tomorrow afternoon's game 4 because of the left hip injury he suffered in last night's game. Of course, the Grizzlies are on the brink of elimination. No team in NBA history has overcome an 0-3 deficit to win a playoff series. He was spotted in crutches. This is just, George, they looked like they belonged for a little bit in the game last night. And then Morant happens, and you hate it for the Grizzlies because you wanted them to be a little bit more competitive than what they've been in this series.
Well, first of all, they were never going to win this series. Oklahoma City is clearly way better. That said, it would have been nice to have been able to see through what they put together last night, which is about 20 minutes of unbelievable basketball before he got hurt. All of this, the NBA needs to be looking a little closer at. Jimmy Butler's injury with Golden State, John Morant's injury with the Grizzlies. I think that the officials have let this get too physical, and it's bordering at times on unsafe. And that's too bad because I don't know what Jimmy Butler's status is for tomorrow, but they need him just like the Grizzlies needed John Morant.
Yeah, that's Jimmy Butler's got to be doubtful. His injury is definitely a little bit different than Morant's, but according to the Warriors Twitter page, Butler underwent an MRI yesterday. It confirmed the injury as a pelvis and deep gluteal muscle contusion. He is questionable for tomorrow. So that's actually a little bit more encouraging than I thought it would be. So maybe we do see at least a little bit of Jimmy Butler tomorrow.
Well, he is one tough character, whether Pat Riley likes him or not. There's a mental toughness about Jimmy Butler. If anybody could play with that, it would be Jimmy Butler, and I'll flip it the other way. If he doesn't play, he's really hurt.
Yeah. I want to mention NASCAR returns to Talladega Super Speedway this weekend. I know Kelly is fired up for that. The first of 2 race weekends this year. You've got the Jack Links 500 Cup Series in a couple of days. That'll be on Sunday. The Cup Series was off last week with the Truck Series and Xfinity Series at Rockingham. So, again, big weekend with Talladega this weekend. George, have you ever been down there?
I have never been to Talladega.
I hear it's unbelievable.
Oh, I'm sure it is. It's one of the holy grails of auto racing.
Yeah. So I know racing fans will be tuned into that. Also, college baseball fans are in for a treat this week. I know we've talked a little bit about this throughout the week, George. If you're looking to watch something this weekend, if you're tuned out of the NBA, NHL playoffs, there's college baseball all weekend. Tonight in Oxford, game 1 between Vanderbilt and Ole Miss. Again, if the weather stays okay for them. Luckily, I think this weekend should clear up a little bit down here. But 6:30 tonight for Vandy and Ole Miss. Also at 6:30, Tennessee at LSU in Baton Rouge. I think the Cajuns will be fired up for that one. For Tony Vitello in Tennessee. Also Texas A&M and Texas. It's hard to pick. I don't know which one. You have Jim Schlossnagle returning to, not returning to A&M. It's actually at Texas, but facing his former team from last year. There's all kind of different, players that were on A&M last year. Now they're with Texas, or guys that committed to Texas with Schlossnagle and decided to come back to A&M. And this is also the first time they've played each other as SEC opponents in baseball. Of course, they haven't played each other in a while, going back to the Big 12 days, but this is that might be the one I'm most excited to see because they truly hate each other.
Oh my God, do they ever hate each other? A&M believes that Texas sort of thumbs their nose at them. Texas acts like A&M's a cow college. It's kind of a snotty, kind of snobby deal, and I think A&M, is tired of feeling like the bastard stepchild. And, they got the upper hand on Texas when they joined the SEC, and I'll never forget the reactions of their athletic director when he found out Texas was going in the SEC, and he said, "Over my dead body." Well,
Yeah.
it happened.
That their rivalry has added a level of hatred to the SEC.
Oh, yeah.
We know about Tennessee and Alabama, Tennessee and Florida, some of the other rivalries, LSU, Alabama, but Texas A&M is a little bit different in terms of the fuel to the fire. Now, it helps they hadn't played each other really, especially in football, since 2011, so that helped. But what they've added, I don't know that Greg Sankey could have quite expected. They've added a ton of juice to the league.
They've added some Alabama-Auburn football is what they've added.
Yeah. But that's what I've got. Got a big weekend, of course, with the rest of the NFL draft. Second and third rounds tonight. Rest of it tomorrow. College baseball weekend, Talladega. Lots to watch, especially with the playoffs going on as well.
Okay, after the break, Watson Brown will join us. We'll get his take on the draft. Terry McCormick at 3:40. He's going to give you 4 names to watch out for because he thinks one of the 4 will end up being a Titan tonight by about 7:15. Then at 4 o'clock, you'll hear Cam Newton's press. Cam Newton, did I just say that? Wow, that's woo. You'll hear Cam Ward's press conference at 4 o'clock, and you'll want to tune in for that. And then Kelly Holcomb will join us to give us his take, and we will open the phone lines right around 4:20, 4:25. So we got a busy show for you. Get ready. Watson Brown's in the On Deck Circle on 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
At Wilson Bank & Trust, we believe you shouldn't have to choose between personal service and digital solutions. As your local independent bank, we're proud to offer the relationships and trusted service you expect, along with the tools and technology that keep you moving forward. So whether you're growing a business, buying a home, or planning for the future, we're here to help. Because this isn't just where we work, it's where we live too. Wilson Bank & Trust, here to get you there. Member FDIC. We're here to help. Because this isn't just where we work, it's where we live too. Wilson Bank & Trust, here to get you there. Member FDIC.
Looking for your favorite sports?
How about sports? You follow sports?
We probably have it. Just log on to the Information Superhighway. They don't call it that anymore?
To start, press any key. Where's the any key?
Head to theGameNashville.com.
The password. We're in.
You'll find what time your game starts and what station it's on.
Oh, they have the internet on computers now.
That's what's up. Your sports live here.
What an age we live in.
On the Game Nashville Sports Network.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Okay, let's get right to it on this rainy Friday afternoon. Coach Watson Brown joins us from Cookeville. Watson, again, thank you for joining us.
Glad to, guys. Hope everybody's good today. Staying dry.
Doing good. Is the NFL sending a stronger message about Shedeur's ability or maybe lack thereof? Or is this more a backlash aimed at Dion?
$100,000 question there. I said to you yesterday, or maybe it wasn't yesterday or day, but one day this time I've been on with you, that my issues with Shedeur are totally in his playing ability now and things that he must improve. And I just didn't feel like he was that high of a pick with some of the flaws that can be fixed. But it's those type flaws take a while. I haven't felt a bad feeling toward attitude and all that. I just hadn't paid much attention to it, to tell you the truth. But I'm talking just watching these guys play. And so that was me. But I would imagine that's on the street. We've seen, George, it seems to happen every year to a quarterback. Where all of a sudden something pops up that throws up a little red flag, and then they fall down. We talked about Aaron Rodgers. I think that happened to him, and I can't even remember exactly what, but it seems to happen every year. And you know, the NFL to me, George, they're a copycat league. They're a major copycat league. It's always been that way. And one of the reasons is they get tape of everybody gets the same tapes. It's hard to be a copycat in college unless you're just copying somebody you play, because you don't get the tapes of everybody. But everybody in the NFL just to watch everybody. And I just feel like it's like Jackson Dart going in front of him. And I said to myself, the Giants, in my opinion, are thinking they're getting another Josh Allen, because Jackson plays a lot like Josh Allen. He's not afraid to take chances. He's tough. He runs with the ball a lot, and he'll make plays on his own in a lot of ways. And then I read something where that's what they thought, that DeBoe had coached Josh and thought this was another Josh Allen. It's amazing to me how copycat things come about in the NFL, how somebody on offense will do something and then everybody copies it. Somebody on defense will do something, then everybody copies it. And I think you see it in the drafts a lot of times the same way. This guy's another Adrian Peterson. This guy's another Deion Sanders at corner. I mean, they seem to want to go and compare somebody and then jump him up there, and then that becomes the guy. And I see a lot of that in the NFL.
So how does Pittsburgh explain away with no quarterback in sight, and God only knows what Aaron Rodgers is thinking. How does Pittsburgh explain not taking either Shedeur or Jackson Dart?
Well, they're going to have to, and I think they're going to have to explain with some other decision they're doing at quarterback. It can't be over yet, so maybe it is Aaron Rodgers for another year. I don't know, but they're going to have to explain, because they took another defensive guy, and they're always good on defense, always. And they keep trying to win games by just running the ball and playing good defense. And, you know, they were able to do that in the Terry Bradshaw times, even though Terry made a ton of plays. But everything was built around Harris and running the ball and playing great defense. And I just don't think they've left that personality through all these years. They still have the same thought processes and philosophies. And I think that's why they just hadn't hit a great one, because I'm not sure they try to get one, because that's not their way of beating you. And I'm telling you, it's a mistake. You do not win in the NFL on offense without a bona fide quarterback. You do not win the Super Bowls without a dude playing right there. You just can't do it anymore, George. It's an impossibility. The defenses are too good. And a great quarterback has got to make plays, number one, and on top of number one, not beat his own team. And that's a great quarterback that can do both of those.
Watson, if the reports are correct and you had been sitting in the general manager seat, would you have traded with the Giants if you were the Titans?
Boy, that was a lot on the table, wasn't it? What a lot on the table. When I read it this morning, George, I was surprised. That's a ton. That's a great deal. But if you really think he's the man, and how important that, we just said it, how important that position is, that position would be every bit as important or more than what they were getting from the Giants. If this is the guy, it told me they truly believe he is the guy. Because I think they would have traded and tried to see what they could come up with at quarterback as time went on. It tells me they really believe in this young man, and to me, after looking at it, I said, "What in the world?" And then I started thinking, they got to believe this is him, that he is the guy that can finally get the Titans to a Super Bowl.
And I guess Jacksonville must feel the same way about Travis Hunter. I mean, there's very little doubt as to that young man's ability, but dadgum did they give up a lot.
They sure did. And it's not a quarterback. And that to me, you give that up, it's got to be a quarterback. I thought Jacksonville seems to do these type of things. And I thought they went too far. But we'll see. Can this young man, who I listened to, interviewed, and I tell you, he is a class young man. I like the way he handles himself. He's a class young man. I didn't like throwing out there, I'm not going to play for somebody that doesn't play me both ways. But if you're going to give that up, you've got to be saying we're going to play him both ways. And can a guy that size, George and Billy, can a guy that size play both ways in that many snaps? And both of those two positions, corner and receiver, have come very physical in the NFL. And there's a lot of bodies on you, and you're catching it in a crowd, and you're having to tackle as corners in today's world. And I just can he hold up? I think he could go out there and do it. And he is very good at both positions. There's no doubt. But can he physically do that through the number of games you got to play in the NFL?
Yeah, I think we both suspect we know the answer. Former Vandy football coach Watson Brown is on the line with us. Billy, what do you got for him?
Coach, I want to ask you about some value picks I think a couple of teams had. The first one that I noticed was Tyler Warren at number 14 overall to the Colts. And ironically, he wasn't even the first tight end taken. Colson Loveland went way higher than a lot of people thought at 10 overall to the Bears. So you think you would imagine the Bears liked Loveland as a pure tight end. You look at Warren, he can do a lot of different things. Watson, I told somebody last night, I think the Colts won the first round with that at 14.
I think that young man's a great player, Billy. I think he is a great player. Gosh, all the plays he made for Penn State last year with bodies hanging all over him, running, blocking. He's carrying the ball as a ball carrier. I mean, I thought I would have bumped him much higher. I really think he's a lot better player because he's more physical than Pitts when he came out of Florida to the Falcons. And where did he go? About sixth? Somewhere in there. I don't remember exactly what, but I think that's an absolute steal in the first round. And I thought he was a much better player than the Michigan player because I thought he could do more things. He's bigger. He's stronger. He can make every play catching the ball the young man from Michigan can. And he's even he's a ball carrier on top of that. So he threw passes at Penn State. I loved him. I love watching him play all year long.
I want to ask you about Will Campbell. Of course, the Patriots took him at number 4, and we're hearing all about, his arms aren't long enough. But what are your thoughts about that, and how much does that matter, from an offensive lineman perspective? I would think he plays outside at the tackle position for the Patriots there and try to anchor their line. How much does that matter?
It matters, but I don't. If you've got all the other pieces with it, Billy, and evidently Mike Vrabel thinks he does, you've got to have the first thing you have got to have is unbelievable feet to play tackle in college or the NFL. You got to have You got to have. I learned the hard way. You've got to have defensive feet. You've got to have feet plenty good enough to be a defensive lineman to play tackle in today's world. I do think he's got that. He's very athletic. He's very strong. You don't see him get knocked back. What you see tackles get, some of these long arm guys sometimes can't get their hands in quick enough, and those edge rushers get into them and just take them and put them on the quarterback. I think he's very strong in his chest arm area and has very quick hands. So I think those type things and consistent as he can be. I love watching him play at LSU. They throw it every down. So you want to be a pass protector on a team that's throwing it every down. You better be a good pass protector. And I think he is. So I thought he was a good take, even though I had read that his arm length isn't as much, but I learned the hard way because I take these big guys and want to turn them into tackles, all long arms, look like basketball players. And when they didn't have the feet, when they didn't have the strength in their arms and their chest, when you didn't have that, you could not turn them into great offensive tackles against these rushers in college football. And I've been a throwing guy a long time, and I learned the hard way. I took some of those in my early time, and I learned I'd rather have the other things than just that complete height and those long arms.
All right, set it up for us tonight, Coach. The Titans have the 3rd pick of the night, and we talked about the Browns. They've got two of the first 4 picks. So obviously, they're in a great spot. Titans are in a good spot as well. Do they go receiver? Do you look at some of the edge positions? I know we're going to talk about this with Terry, but how are you looking at those first couple of picks tonight if you're the Titans? And to me, if Luther Burden's there, that's who I take. I don't know if you agree with that. I know there were some people that thought he was potentially going to go in the first round, but where do you think they go tonight, Watson?
I would bet, just guessing, but listening and watching what all left them and what's coming back and all that, I would bet they go edge. That's what I think. I just think they'll hunt a receiver further down the road. And if they're not sold on Burton, then they're going to say there's another speed guy down here that might be a little smaller that we can get here or trade for him. And I still keep saying, Billy, watch Will Levis deal. to where they pick up another pick somewhere. Watch the Will Levis trade and see. And if he doesn't go tonight, to me, or in the next day, that means they can't find a trader. They just couldn't find one, because that to me is a must where they are right now. And I just think that could pick them up one, maybe a little later. There's some pretty good edges left out there. And I'll bet you they go for an edge instead of a receiver in this pick.
Watson, I kind of think you're onto something there. First of all, thank you as always for doing this kind of pinch hitting. Kelly was stuck between Chattanooga and Atlanta and described the trip as a disaster. And so we'll find out what all he's dealt with. All I know is he's been stuck in traffic a bunch. Thank you for doing this.
I'm glad to come off the bench and help Kelly a little bit. So when the starter gets back, maybe I covered good enough for him.
Utility shortstop Watson Brown joining us.
Utility shortstop. No, the Red Sox told me I was going to be a second baseman. It still bothers me today when they said that. But
we're keeping you short.
They keep me at short, baby. Even the Red Sox said my arm wasn't strong enough, I'd be a good second baseman.
And we'll dump Orlando Arcia for Watson Brown. Watson, thank you.
There you go. Glad to do it, guys. Have a good day.
Okay, after the break, Terry McCormick is going to join us by phone, and we're going to get into the 4 options that he thinks are out there for the Titans. You're going to want to hear why they either do or don't like Luther Burden from Missouri, who is one of those 4. Stay tuned. This is 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
Flat Rock Motor Club is a members-only driving resort combining a world-class racetrack with exquisite amenities. Located on 800 acres of pristine countryside in the heart of Tennessee, their elite 3.5-mile club track is surrounded by sweeping views of manicured rolling hills. The charm of Tennessee can be felt with every hill you climb. Whether your beverage of choice is sweet tea or whiskey, at their premier driving resort, you will experience a sophisticated blend of country elegance and southern hospitality. For more information, log on to flatrockmotorclub.com.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2025 season. Create a summer of memories at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, and more. Tickets are on sale now.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com. Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com. Two total screw-ups of humongous proportions.
Sports. We're not living in an era where perfection is necessary.
They thought they were a championship contending team.
Here, we told you not to do this. Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9. The Fan.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Okay, we are back, and let's get right to it with Terry McCormick, Main Street Media, and TitanInsider.com. Terry joins us by phone. Terry, you were at the press conference earlier with Cam Ward. Give me a few thoughts on him.
Well, certainly a very nice gesture by the Titans organization. They brought Warren Moon in as a surprise guest, a surprise visitor, and Moon presented Ward with a number 1 jersey and his blessing to wear that retired number while he plays for the Titans.
Terry, our listeners will hear the press conference at 4 o'clock. It's my belief, and maybe I'm making too big a deal out of this, but the Titans need a face of the franchise. For all intents and purposes, Marcus Mariota was in the witness protection program. Nobody ever saw him. Wonderful young man, but nobody ever got to really get that out of him. Ryan Tannehill didn't seem to want to be in the public at all. And there are people out there that think that Will Levis has copped the too cool for school attitude, and that coupled with the fact that he hadn't played very well has got a lot of people down on him. Does Cam Ward have the stuff of a face of a franchise?
Well, being the number 1 overall pick, I think that's certainly something that's in play in terms of what the Titans are looking for from him. Obviously, the best way to be the face of the franchise is to go out and elevate this team from the doldrums it's been in for the last 3 years and win football games. But Cam Ward, in our first setting with him as far as at the press conference, now that he is a Titan, certainly gave off the vibe that he's a confident young man, that he's full of personality, and that he certainly has faith in himself, but he, kind of knows where he came from being that 0-star recruit, that there's still a part of that to his personality too, that kind of spurs him on and keeps him humble.
How long has he known that he was going to be the first pick?
Well, the Titans said last night about that they decided on it about 3 weeks ago. So I would say at least 3 weeks. He's probably known that he's going to be the first pick, maybe even a little longer. I think the tide really started to turn when they met with him the first time at the Combine, and then it just kept escalating once they had him in for his 30 visit, then went to his pro day, and by the time they had the private workout with him, I think they were pretty well convinced, and I think he had to know too that he was high on their priority list at number 1.
Okay, we're going to show people 4 names, and I'm going to read them for those of you who are listening on radio, that we believe one of the 4 will end up being the man with the second pick. Luther Burden, the very talented wide receiver from Missouri who can absolutely fly. And then 3 edge rushers, Landon Jackson from Arkansas, Mike Green, who has done great work at Marshall, and Donovan, and I don't even want to try the last name, except I'll give it a shot, Iziraku from Boston College. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Ezraku, I believe.
Yeah. What do the Titans not like about Luther Burden?
Well, that's a good question because they do seem to be kind of lukewarm on him. I've heard some people wondering if maybe, he's kind of, takes plays off or has a little bit of a lazy attitude. That's something that I heard somebody throw out there regarding his drop. But for whatever reason, it does seem like they're a little bit lukewarm on him. That's not to say that he couldn't be the pick or that if they traded down and he was still there that he could be the pick. But I think, they're a little bit lukewarm on him right there at 35. And it, sure seems like maybe some other teams might be too.
Isn't he the burner that they haven't had?
Sure, absolutely. The talent is there. I don't think there's any question about that. He wasn't as productive in 2024 as he had been in 2023. But, he certainly would add an element to this team. A lot of people thought he was the number one receiver available in this draft once you get past Travis Hunter. And, certainly that's something that the, speed and a guy who can, be a game-changing type of guy, that's really something they've not had at that position since A.J. Brown was traded.
Tell me about the three edge rushers. And let's say up front that the Titans have so damn many needs that you can make the argument they need Luther Burden. They need one of these three edges. And that's the dynamic here is, okay, whichever way you go, which one is easier to get down the road of their draft picks? So, Terry, kind of take it from there on these guys.
All right. The Titans are fortunate a little bit at edge rusher in that there are 3 or 4 guys that are all right there kind of in the same cluster. Maybe not elite pass rushers, but a chance to be pretty good. Remember a few years ago, they got Harold Landry in the second round, George, and that turned out to be a pretty good move for them as he turned in a pretty solid career here before he was cut this past off season. Ezraku, I think, is a guy who's also from Boston College, coincidentally, and I think that he's a guy that certainly has put up some productive numbers. I don't know if he is what you would say an elite type of pass rusher, but he's a guy that, certainly could come in and you would expect him to be productive. The kid from Ohio State, I can't even pronounce his name. He certainly is part of a defense that has been very, very productive for the Buckeyes over the last couple of years, and certainly a lot of Ohio State players have made their mark in the league. And I think that's an area that it's a guy that could come in and play right away, be a day one starter, which is something they need. Another player or two, edge rushers, Mike Green, from Marshall, he turned some heads at the Senior Bowl. There are some off-field rumors and whispers about him that may be causing him to kind of tumble down people's draft boards and maybe people not wanting to take a risk on him, some character concerns possibly from his past. So that's part of the reason why I think he's still available. And then you've got Landon Jackson at Arkansas. He's another guy who was pretty productive for his career, and another guy right there in that cluster or that group where the Titans could ideally trade down and still come away with maybe one of those guys.
Okay, there's been a lot of talk about trying to recoup the third-round pick that they lost a year ago because of the signing of L'Jarius Sneed. And at least right now, that's been a disaster, but only time will tell for the future. Terry, do you believe they can pull something off? And if so, what do you think they're offering to get something?
Well, if they offer 35, then I think they'd have to move down probably 8 to 10 spots and to recoup that third round pick. I think it was about a couple of years ago when they traded up to get Levis. I think they went up about 8 spots and gave up a third round pick. So somewhere in that ballpark would probably work. There are a couple of other scenarios where they might be able to package something together to get a third round pick. They've got 2 fourth rounders, 2 fifth rounders, 2 sixth rounders. They could probably take one each of the fourth and the fifth round, maybe put those together to get up to the third. Or if there's a team that wants to, that makes a serious pitch and an inquiry to acquire Will Levis, they could package Levis and one of those third day picks to maybe get into the third round.
Terry McCormick, TitanInsider.com, joining us through Main Street Media. Terry, give me one more thing real quickly, just a yes or a no. Do you believe the Titans trade Will Levis tonight?
I'm still in the camp that I think they're going to keep him, at least through the end of training camp. I think a decision will be made later on, because right now he doesn't have a whole lot of value in terms of, being able to, just put him out there and he's going to fetch a fourth round pick or whatever it might be. But I think if you keep him and he shows himself to be a good soldier and he plays well in the preseason, then maybe at the end of preseason you're able to trade him for a little bit more, or maybe you keep him as a backup and say, just in case. You never know. You can never have enough good quarterbacks.
Billy, what do you got for Terry?
Terry, right as Cam Ward was selected, the Jaguars stole the spotlight in their trade up to take Travis Hunter, and all of a sudden there's no more Cam Ward talk. And yeah, they have to break the story. I get that. But was there any frustration on the Titans side? I doubt they voiced it publicly, but I can't imagine the Titans brass being very happy about that. Not that it matters. Look, it really doesn't. But I thought that was interesting how right after Cam Ward gets selected, boom, there's a Jags trade, and the AFC South rival takes all the attention.
Yeah, I think it's more fan talk than anything else. I think it's been fodder for a lot of social media, a lot of talk radio type of stuff. I think that's probably, the genesis of most of it. That said, it is kind of a shame that Cam Ward got the short shrift there and didn't really get his moment in the sun like a normal number 1 overall pick should get. My bigger beef with that was the babbling on and on by Mel Kiper and the ESPN people about Shedeur Sanders and why he hadn't been picked. How about talking about the guy who was picked and picked number 1 overall a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, after every pick, it felt like there was Mel Kiper saying, how stupid it was that team didn't select Shedeur Sanders. On that note, I caught this on your Twitter, Terry, and I really hadn't thought a ton about this. But you brought up the fact that it could be possible that Shedeur Sanders dropping to round 2 could be a key to the Titans being able to trade back if some team wants him at number 35. And I know you just hinted at a little bit of that, the potential of the Titans trading back. I'm sure a ton of people haven't really thought about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is an option. I think that's something that, if the Browns don't take him at 33 and the Giants, who now are, well, it wouldn't be the Giants, it would be the Rams now who took that pick from the Giants, and the Rams don't take him at 34, then the Titans there at 35 could entertain suitors for that pick if somebody wants to come up and get Shedeur Sanders and stop his fall the same way the Titans were able to do with Levis a couple of years ago. So, if somebody wants to make a roll of the dice there, I'm sure the Titans are all ears and open for business to move off of that pick number 35 to let somebody come up and get Sanders.
Okay, we saw the jersey on the stage. It was the baby blue Titans jersey that has been switched to their, I don't know what the best word is for it, but that's their jersey. That's their main jersey now, the jersey color. And by the way, it's a better look. George and I were talking. Is that going to be the one moving forward? Did a little research. It is, but are there new ones on the way, Terry? I know you hinted at that on your Twitter as well.
Well, Warren Moon spoke to us, after the Cam Ward introductory press conference, and one of the things that he said was that one of his reasons for allowing Cam Ward to wear this as a Titan was that apparently the Houston Oilers jerseys are going away, not to be worn again, but they wouldn't need to be because apparently there are new jerseys on the way. I'm assuming for when the new stadium opens in 2027, that would probably be the perfect time to drop those. And he seemed to indicate that if the Oilers jerseys are not necessary, I bet you those jerseys are going to be modeled after the Oiler look.
Good Lord, let's hope it's better than the vomit they've been using.
They are. Maybe we're jaded because we're around it so much, but to me, the current uniforms that they have they're as bad as any team in the league.
Yeah.
There's just nothing to it. The dark blue is hideous. Okay. Anything else, Billy?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Terry, thank you for your help with our draft coverage. Great stuff. Let's see what happens tonight.
All right. Let's take a look.
Terry McCormick, Main Street Media and TitanInsider.com. Check him out with all the info that he's putting out there. Stat of the day is coming up. Then the return of Kelly Holcomb, who's been held hostage for several days. No light. You could barely see him. Maybe he'll tell us about his little trip from deep in Georgia through Atlanta, through Chattanooga. He sounds like one frustrated human being. And then we'll hear from one of the happier people out there, the new Titans quarterback, Cam Ward. You'll hear his press conference to start the 4 o'clock hour on 94.9 The Fan.
Tonight, your Nashville Sounds continue their 6-game series against Durham at First Horizon Park. Pre-game at 6:20.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan and the Game Nashville app.
Family Leisure invites you to vacation at home with your family with a new spa, pool, patio furniture, or wood play gym this summer.
I really want a spa.
Family Leisure has 40 spas on display from 3 of the biggest brand names: Artesian, Best Spas, and American Select. Prices starting as low as $29.99.
What about above ground pools?
Family Leisure has hundreds of pools in stock and on sale. Guaranteed installation before Memorial Day, starting as low as $29.99. Installed.
Wow, that's great.
If you're looking at a spa, I want some new patio furniture. Family Leisure has patio furniture from all the big brand names like Hanneman, Woodard, Jensen, and Apricity. There's more than 100 sets on display to choose from with free delivery.
That sounds good to me too. And maybe a new Sabre infrared grill to go with it.
We really should look at the wood play gym for the kids. Family Leisure has the Diamond Point swing set on sale at only $24.99 installed. It's Family Leisure's vacation at home sale going on now at both huge locations, Franklin and Antioch.
Family and fun come together.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
Previously on Clinton and Friends.
Buffs face scrutiny over retiring jerseys of Sanders and Hunter. The reason why I think this is a bad idea is twofold. The coolest thing that many colleges from an athletic level do is continue a tradition of legacy with the same number worn across generations as an indicator of your potential greatness.
Clinton and Friends, weekdays from 10 to noon Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app. Marty and McGee.
What's going on with Pizza Hut? Did you know there's a website that is dedicated solely to buildings that used to be Pizza Huts that are now something else? Like churches, E.F. Hutton or whatever.
Dollar General.
Yeah. But if you H&R Block, if you look at it, it's obviously used to be. Somebody posted a picture the other day of a former Pizza Hut that's now Domino's. Wow. That's weird.
Marty and McGee, Saturday mornings from 7 to 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the SEC Network. This is Freddie and Harry.
If you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, I would say if you're Omar Khan, you better have Terry Fontenot of the Atlanta Falcons on speed dial.
Why is that?
Kirk Cousins. And you look at the offensive system that Arthur Smith runs, there's some similarities to, what Kirk ran at Minnesota, also what he had with the Washington Commanders at the time, and with the Atlanta Falcons as well.
Check out more from Freddie and Harry weekdays at 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Amber and Ian.
Orioles young shortstop Jackson Holliday hit a grand slam on Wednesday night, and he credited it to his 1-year-old Bernedoodle, Coconut, being in attendance.
Who's Coconut?
Jackson Holliday's 1-year-old Bernedoodle.
What?
A Bernedoodle.
It's a dog.
It's a puppy.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a dog.
dog.
You didn't understand. Oh, it's a dog.
Thank you.
Amber and Ian. Weeknights at 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on Sirius XM Channel 80.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. All around the world on the Game Nashville app. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan. A Cromwell media station.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
All right, we're going to hear from new Titans quarterback Cam Ward in his press conference earlier today in just a moment. But first, stat of the day brought to you by Apple Collision Centers. You can find them in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. Give them a call, 615-754-9800, or log on to applecollisioncenters.com. Not only do we have stat of the day, we've got the return of Kelly Holcomb on a Friday. Kelly, are you with us?
I'm here, Billy.
There he is.
You seem a little pissed off about traffic.
I was really pissed off about traffic. That was a I don't even want to talk about it. Good. I mean, you just get like in Chattanooga is bad enough, but when you're coming back from Valdosta to Atlanta, I mean, it's like 30 miles outside of Atlanta, you start hitting traffic, and it doesn't get any easier. I mean, it's crazy. And we had 2 wrecks. We had stops everywhere. Then you get in Chattanooga, and I don't know who designed that deal where you've got 1 lane, you've got 4 lanes, and then 1 lane that gets off, and then it goes to 2 lanes, and then it comes back to 1 lane. Like, who designed that? It took us 30 minutes from exit, to get when you see exit 1 to get actually on exit 1. It's just crazy. I don't understand it. And then we hit rain in Manchester. It's just it's been a long day in the car, George.
Well, thank you for being with us.
Yes, sir.
We got a lot to get to, but first, lay it on us, Billy.
Cam Ward becomes the first Miami Hurricane to be drafted number 1 overall since whom?
Okay, let's talk about this, Kelly. One thought is Vinny Testaverde. Was he the number 1 pick in the draft?
Was he? I think he might have been, George.
Jim Kelly, who initially
was he the first pick?
I don't know. I'm thinking of people like Russell Maryland, Vinny Testaverde, Jim Kelly. What the hell? Let's go, Vinny.
It is Russell Maryland.
Russell Maryland.
Oh,
right.
Gosh.
You were right.
Wow. Not many people get that one.
No, that's like so many guys have come through the Miami program, and you think that there would be more number 1 picks, but 1991 was the last time. That's crazy.
Testaverde was 87.
Wow. Well, we were on the right track at least. Kelly, as we welcome people officially into the 4:00 hour of the show, nobody really has gotten your feedback on Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. Have a couple of minutes. Go at it.
I like Cam Ward. I really do. I don't think he came out there with all the he came from he had no scholarship offers coming out of high school, and he went to Incarnate Word. And I said this last week. I think he threw 78 touchdown passes in 2 years, and then he goes to Washington State. And then we know what he did at Miami. I mean, he had those guys. I think they were 9-0. Is that what they were to start off the season? 9-0.
Yes.
And he finished 4th in the Heisman. So you got to be for a guy like that. I was kind of like that. And he's the number 1 pick in the draft, which is unbelievable. So I think I want the guy to be successful. I really do. I think it's a good move. If that's what they thought, they spent lots of hours with him. They talked with him. They were in their interviews with him. They worked him out, at his pro day, and then they worked him out individually. And I'm sure they did. They had a long process to go through, and I'm sure he met all the coaches. I'm sure he met all the top execs of the Tennessee Titans. And hey, everybody said that he was impressive in his interviews. And then you look at the other side, and then you hear things that are coming out about Shedeur Sanders, and he's yet to be picked. And they just said that when he sat down in the interview, he didn't handle the interview process very well. He was kind of entitled. He was too cocky. Now, I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm just, reading from the tea leaves. So, I don't know. It's kind of amazing, though, that, they traded up. The New York Giants traded up to get Jackson Dart because they wanted a quarterback. And obviously, I heard Booger McFarland talking about it this morning. And I think this is I don't know how much I like this as a game, but it's changed in college, and now it's kind of seeping its way up into the National Football League. But they want guys that can move. They want guys that can run. They want Jaden Daniels, Lamar Jacksons of the world. They want guys that if something's not there and a thing breaks down, these defensive line and defensive ends are getting so good at rushing the passer, and you have not much time to throw the ball. They're so strong. They're so fast. They understand how to use their moves. They practice it all the time, and they're really good at getting a pass rush. And, when you're the Tom Brady's of the world or the Peyton Mannings of the world or the Kelly Holcombs of the world that just sit back there and have to use your mind, and when you did have to run, I didn't want to do that. I couldn't have done that. So I'm glad I played in the era I did, but it just seems like that's kind of where they're going, and that's what Booger McFarland was talking about. The NFL's going that way. And you see it in Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders is a traditional drop back guy. I think the guy can play. I've watched him play. I think he can throw the ball. Now, is he going to be successful in the NFL? I don't know. Is Cam Ward going to be successful? Jackson Dart, who knows? Because I've said it before. It's a crapshoot. But it just seems that that's the way the NFL is going, George. I don't know if I like it because at some point, and I've said it on this air many times, at some point, you have to learn how to be a quarterback. You have to learn how to read the defense. You can't rely on your athleticism because when you get to the National Football League, those defensive ends can run. The defensive linemen can run. They were showing a play from, I think it was an LSU kid last night, or I forget who it was, but he was a defensive lineman. He ran a guy downfield. So everybody in the National Football League can run. It's just a talented league, and I don't know. It seems where that's kind of where the NFL and the executives and the head coaches are going. They want guys that can make plays when the play is not on rhythm. So I think that's kind of why you see Cam Ward as a number 1 pick.
Okay, it's clear the Titans need him to be really, really good. Earlier today, he spoke with the Nashville media at the press conference. Now we're going to let you hear it.
This is an exciting day for the Tennessee Titans organization here as we welcome Cam Ward and his family here to Nashville. As I said to Cam on the phone last night, we went through the whole process here with him, and we came away, just really impressed with obviously the player, but also the person that he is, the leader and the teammate. And we didn't think there was anyone more deserving to really represent this franchise than Cam Ward. So Cam, I'd like to come up here and introduce you. Before you step to the podium here, Cam, we have a special guest here. Who did? Find out.
See you. How you doing?
Well, I just came here because I have a lot of respect for this young man right here. A lot of our journey is similar as far as all the things that he was told throughout the journey about not being good enough. Nobody wanted to give him that great opportunity, but he just kept fighting. He kept working, kept showing leadership, perseverance, and here he is today, the #1 overall pick in the National Football League draft. So that's the reason why I wanted to be here, just to let him know how proud I am of him. And I've watched your career ever since you were at our rival, Washington State. And I didn't like how you played against my Huskies all the time, but you had to do what you had to do. But as far as the number and everything is concerned, I wore the #1 for a lot of different reasons, and I wore it for a long time, starting back in 1976 when I was in college. And I think I wore it very honorably for the Houston Oilers organization, to the point to where I created a Hall of Fame career for myself. Now I'm part of the Tennessee Titans family, and my Houston Oilers jersey will probably never be worn again. I hope it won't. But the Tennessee Titans jersey is going to be worn by Cam, and Cam will be starting a new, not regime here, but just a new freshness in this organization to kind of revitalize it and get it back to where it was a number of years ago, one of the more successful organizations in the league. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do with his legacy wearing this number. And I'm proud of the things that I did to establish my legacy with the time I wore that number. So Cam, I'm going to be watching your career. I'm here for you. I'm going to help you as much as I can possibly do it whenever you need me. And just wish you the best of luck. And you come from a great family. I think that's where a lot of it starts. And I think you'll do well here. So congratulations on being the #1 overall pick. And now the work gets started. All right.
Appreciate you. Mr. Mike, Miss Amy, Coach Callahan, Mr. Chad, thank y'all for giving me the opportunity. I know y'all made what was right for the organization. You as well, Miss Amy. But I'm grateful, for my family to, be here in this moment with me. I've been praying since I was 6 years old. So I'm ready to get to work, ready to be with my teammates, try to win some games in the future.
Yeah, what does it mean to hear your general manager say that it was not only you as a player, but you as a person that attracted this organization to you and wanting to make you the #1 pick?
It means a lot, especially, my background, where I came from, on what I had to do to get to this journey. But, it's all, God and hard work. And I just think I did a lot of little things in my career to, take care of everything, to maximize my talents. And so I'm excited to get to work here. Just meeting my guys in the locker room, in the cafeteria already. I know some good things are about to happen.
Cam, you have your parents here. They played obviously a critical role in your development and everything. What do you say to them? Now that you've gotten to this point, how can you repay them for all the work they put in?
I just think I can't repay them. Nothing can. Just what they sacrificed since I was a kid, all the way to high school to where I am now. Just they sacrificed financially for me, time-wise. There's days my dad would wake up at 5 a.m. We drive halfway across Texas to get to camps. And so I'll never be able to repay them. But, I just hope, me being to repay them one way is, just by putting on for them and the family on the field.
What's that number mean? What's that number mean to you? Did you know any of this was going on? At what point were you planning to ask him? How did all that go?
I've been asked him. I called him about a month ago. And so, I didn't know this was going on, but, I knew this was going to happen. I'm excited that, Mr. Moon was able to, bless me with giving me this number. But I think to me, the number would never mean anything. It's all about the plays you make on the field. So I'm ready for this opportunity with my teammates.
Does that number hold a significance for you?
It doesn't hold a significance. It's all about how you play on the field. The person doesn't make the number. The player makes the number.
Cam, the legacy of quarterbacks that this organization has been a part of course, Mr. Moon, Steve McNair, and now yourself. Does that put more pressure on you, or do you look at that and say, like, I need to live up to something greater than myself?
Not really. All those players, they were playing for the Oilers. I'm a tight end, so none of that pressure ever gets to me. I really don't care what the outside world sees me as. The only thing that matters to me is the building my teammates. And so I never get too high, never get too low. I just want to go make plays.
You've been able to insert yourself in 3 different college programs and be the leader, be the guy, all 3 places immediately. What's the challenge on doing it at this level, surrounded by millionaires and guys who've been in this league?
I just think just being real on time with stuff, especially offensively. You have to be an elite communicator. I think that's what I learned, being in college. I think that's why we were able to have one of the best offenses at Miami this last year. We had elite communication from myself, the O-line, the receiving core, and the running backs. And so I think that's the big part is, continue to me get better each year in and out. But I think communication is a big key to us having the success.
How'd you develop that skill for being so level-headed, to not getting high, getting low, and just kind of what is the key to keeping that in the tough moments?
I would say by losing a lot in my life, and whether it's off the field, on the field, I just think the more you never change your level, more good things will happen to you. And, you also got to be a good teammate because at the end of the day, I'll never be the only person to win us a game. I'll always be, receiver catching the ball, the running back running, defense tackling. And so, everybody plays a vital role, and, I'm just trying to do mine each week out.
What is it about your game that you've been able to elevate your team and your teammates in the various stops that you've had, and how will that translate here?
I think I elevated those guys just by, being a teammate, I would say. Being a real locker room guy and also holding people accountable. I think you can't do that unless you actually know the person, on a personal level. But then it all starts on the practice field. Okay, nothing translates to the game unless you rep it over and over. But, I plan on getting to work.
Did you meet any other owners during this process? And did you realize at the time how significant it was that Amy came to that workout and took some time to talk to you, get to know you and your training?
Oh, yeah, I got a chance to meet with the other team's owners as well. But I think just Miss Amy, she jumped off the charts. The connection that, I had with her off rip. My parents, my mom getting a chance to talk with her. And then, she's from my, my part of the area. She's down south. And so, I just think it was already, made to happen.
Kim, the relationship that you developed with the receivers there in Miami, very quickly, how did you go about doing that? Because talking to Restrepo, he said that you guys were on the same page immediately. You could talk without talking. How did you develop that relationship, and what did you learn as far as being able to spin it forward to here?
I would say just watching a lot of film with those guys, and then also getting reps at practice. Whether I know we're going to have bad days of practice, miss reps here and there, but, you got to be able to make it up at the end of practice. But you also got to have the receivers to, want to push themselves like I had in Miami. I'm surrounded by that with Tennessee. I have some elite vets, some elite young guys. And so, I already get to work with those guys. But, it starts in the film room. The football stuff on the field take care of the rest.
You talk about that a lot, Cam, when it comes to the film room. And one of your coaches at Washington State said you're so diligent in your preparation. And it starts there. At what point, did you know, okay, I got to be in there. I have to put in the time. And did you fall in love with the process of it too?
I've probably noticed it the most when I got to Wazoo. And it's something that you do fall in love with because I'm behind the 8 ball. I didn't get a chance to grow up in high school, in college, playing in different offenses, learning football. I really didn't start learning football until I got to Wazoo. And so, as I progressed throughout my career, I started to love it even more. And I just think just over time, I've gotten better. I learned how to watch film the right way. I think I have a great way of seeing space on the field, and also getting through progressions. And so I think everything's helped me, to this point. I've also played with some teammates, who's got a chance to play in the NFL in my past. And so I just think it all worked out.
Kim, what is it about Coach Callahan's offense that you think fits your game and your skill set conceptually?
I just think a lot of stuff translates over from what I did at Miami, even at Wazoo and UIW. It's a real quarterback-friendly offense. You see what he did with Joe Burrow when he got him his rookie year. But, I mean, Coach Callahan is one of the best offensive minds out there, And for me, it's a blessing to play for him, for somebody who I know going to believe in me, who going to put the ball in my hands at the end of the game to go win it. As a quarterback, that's all you can really live for.
What was the play you were asking him about last night?
Switch verts.
Can you kind of talk us through why you like it so much?
Verticals. We window shopping over here.
Hey, Cam, can you shed some light on your respect for Warren Moon? What do you know about his career, his journey? How do you relate to that?
I got a lot of respect. I didn't know much about him until, the draft was really started since February after the last game the Titans have. Before I called him, I made sure I watched his highlights to make sure he was legit. And so he was legit. I'm trying to get up to his level one day. It might take me a little time, but I'll get there eventually. And so, he's a Hall of Famer, and for me to be in that same number that he was in, it's an honor. And I'm excited that he's here. He made time out of his way. He could have did plenty more stuff, but he made sure he was here for me, and so I'm forever grateful for it.
The fact that he went to Canada and didn't get his shot in the NFL, does that resonate with you?
A little bit, I would say. I also think it was a different time too. The game's progressed many years. There's a lot of plays I've seen. He doing 5-step drops on the center, and they run a quick game, and so that's not what we're doing nowadays from understanding like that. But I just think as the game progressed, he was ahead of his time, I would say. But I'm sure he made the most of it, and he did.
Did you have any hesitation about making that phone call? Did you talk to Brian or Mike about? Did they soften the path for you there? Or
I didn't have no hesitation making a phone call. The only thing you can say is no. And so if you said no, I'd have just got a different number. And so, I wasn't really too worried about it. It don't hurt to ask.
Okay, that is a little bit of what went on earlier today over at the Titans complex with their first-round draft pick and the number one pick in the draft, Miami's Cam Ward. So here's what I want to do as we get to the second segment of the 4 o'clock hour. I'm going to open up the phone lines for the rest of the hour. I'm looking for red-blooded Americans who want to talk about the NFL draft. Give me your thoughts on the first round. If you've got thoughts on Cam Ward, let's hear about him. Who do you want him to pick tonight and why? All that kind of stuff. 615-553-0933. And I know a lot of you are close to getting home, but jump in and contribute. 615-553-0933. Billy, how do they do it by way of chat room?
Chat room's open on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. It's to the right of the screen on YouTube. You can just swipe up on Twitter and Facebook and to fire away your question. We'd love to hear from you.
Okay, we're back to talk to you guys and gals on 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonleyTimmons.com.
If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you know what? You need to contact the folks at Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today, pancoastbenefits.com, or call them at 615-292-3400.
Flat Rock Motor Club is a members-only driving resort combining a world-class racetrack with exquisite amenities. Located on 800 acres of pristine countryside in the heart of Tennessee, their elite 3.5-mile club track is surrounded by sweeping views of manicured rolling hills. The charm of Tennessee can be felt with every hill you climb. Whether your beverage of choice is sweet tea or whiskey, at their premier driving resort, you will experience a sophisticated blend of country elegance and southern hospitality. For more information, log on to flatrockmotorclub.com.
Okay, one of the things I'm learning, I guess, in getting back on radio is that a lot of you end up going home early on Fridays. Based on the traffic, I can't say I blame you. But I'm looking for a few more red-blooded Americans out there who want to talk about the NFL draft, the Titans stuff in all of this, and where you think it's all headed. So go ahead and jump in at 615-553-0933. We'll start with my buddy Eric in Nashville. Eric, welcome into 94.9 The Fan.
Hey, George. It's always a pleasure to talk to you guys.
Same here.
I'd like to get your thoughts on this. You may have already discussed this because I've been kind of in and out on this a little bit. One of the things, I guess, that I heard that they was talking about a little bit is critique of the draft and stuff last night. And they made some observation points I wholeheartedly agree with. And that was the fact that, you know, you've only got one opportunity to be the number one pick in the draft, which Cam Ward was. And the fact that, and it really kind of bothered me, and maybe I'm a little bit sensitive like it, the fact that Mel Kiper and Booger McFarland and then I guess it was Louis Reagan, just constantly after the draft was going on and on and on about Shedeur Sanders, talk about, well, Mel Kiper said, I would draft him just over everybody, when everybody knew that Cam would be the pick. That and I guess there's nothing you could do about the fact about the trade that happened afterwards. But I kind of felt like Cam Ward, and I felt bad for him. This kind of moment being the number one pick was kind of just, you know, wasn't probably what it could have been because of all this stuff. And he was just, and also calling through the first round, him just constantly going on and on and on about Shedeur Sanders. And I thought some of the other players too, that they was kind of taking a little bit off their night, their chance to shine, because Mel Kiper was constantly going on about Shedeur Sanders. And that kind of bothered me. And I've heard other people comment on that too, that I thought ESPN not only did, I thought sort of a little bit disservice to Cam, but some other players going on and on and on about that, you know. And he'll certainly get drafted, George. You know, it's just, but that kind of just wrangled me a little bit that, you know, he's the number one pick, and I thought it was kind of his little moment to shine, and just all that stuff kind of just took away from that a little bit. And also some of the other players with him constantly going on about that. And I know you can't do anything about the trade that Jacksonville moved up to do number 2, but I just wanted to get your observations and thoughts on that. Guys, will get off, let you get some other callers. Y'all take care, and we'll talk again soon.
Eric, have a good weekend. It feels like Mel Kiper's on Colorado's payroll.
Oh yeah, he was upset last night. Like, he's been doing this for a long time, but when he puts somebody out there like that, he's going to make sure that they get some airtime. And he's been all over Shedeur Sanders this pre-draft stuff. He's it seems like he gets upset and he takes it personal when people don't draft the guys that he thinks should be drafted. And he was upset about Shedeur. There's no question about that. Now, I turned it off about halfway through it, and I don't know what went on the other half of the draft, but I'm sure that he was still angry about that because he's been doing that for so long. He actually is the one that started all this stuff. And it just seems like when somebody doesn't draft, he takes it personal and he gets upset about it, and he's gonna throw it out there. This is why you should draft this guy. And I just don't understand. And that's the way this has always been.
Yeah, before the pick was made, the Titans are on the clock. The 10 minutes before the pick was made, they're showing Shedeur Sanders highlights.
Shedeur Sanders, yep.
Like, what are we doing? I mean, but that's the deal with Cam Ward, though. He doesn't have the splash and the personality and the dad that Shedeur has, right? It's about Shedeur. It's about the watch. It's about his rap songs. It's about, and it's about his dad too. But Cam Ward, and especially with the Titans drafting him, what's there? There's not a whole lot there. So I get it, but still, it's the number 1 overall pick. I mean, and then of course the Jags trade up, and I mean that was the most. Oh, there's Cam Ward, but this doesn't matter. That was the most, and he wasn't interviewed on stage either. Like he's the number 1 overall pick, right? And he wasn't interviewed right after the pick. That was a little weird to me as well.
Well, Jacksonville's timing of the trade probably stopped it. Billy, what do you got on text?
Well, Jackson Dart went number 25 overall to the Giants. Of course, from Ole Miss. Randy, an Ole Miss fan. Ole Miss Giants connection, of course, with Eli playing at Ole Miss, and of course playing with the Giants as well. 2 Super Bowls. He says hotty toddy. That's something I forgot about, and you wonder if the Giants took that into account. But for Dart, he gets to sit behind a pretty veteran, not a great quarterback at this point in his career, but a veteran guy in Russell Wilson. Not a bad spot for Jackson Dart to be in.
And they've also got who am I thinking from Florida State?
Yeah,
help me. I'm having a thing. Jameis Winston.
Jameis Winston. Yes.
So Jackson can learn how to turn the ball over.
You might not want to show him his film.
The Ole Miss connection, I don't think, had a thing to do with any of it. Those 2 guys, Shane and Brian Dable, are fighting for their lives professionally.
Yeah.
So they're not worried about where he went to school.
Yeah, no. And did they, George, I know we talked about it, but did they make a move to try to get that number 1 pick?
Yep.
Yeah, and they offered a boatload, and there's going to be a lot of conversation about that the Titans needed to pay more attention to that. What it tells me is the Titans were in love with Cam Ward. Whether that's right or wrong, man, when you hear what the Giants offered, it sounds like they were in love with him.
Yeah, well, if they do that and the Titans go ahead and draft him, that means they feel like the whole organization feels like that he's the guy that can be the next Steve McNair. And I don't want to compare him to anybody, but like I've said it before, that's the last guy that they brought up through the ranks, and he played really well. And Steve McNair was a staple of this community, and that's when the Titans were in their heyday. And I know that they're hoping that Cam Ward can be that, and I'm hoping that for him too. I think the kid is a really good football player, and wherever he's been, I've said this before, you got to be a competitor, but his will to win, and he wins games, he's got to transfer that into the National Football League.
Tony in Nolensville, you're next on 94.9 The Fan.
Hello, George, Kelly, and Billy.
Tony.
I forgot the draft was on last night. I was watching the national preseason cornhole selections. So I'm just kidding on that. Everywhere you look was the draft. And, with the Titans, of course, taking Cam, it speaks volumes in one sense, and in another sense, it was something that everybody knew. Y'all talked about it a lot. Kelly, you have the fact that Levis, if he can't handle the fact he's going to be a backup to the Titans in the this season, being his third season in the NFL, his rookie contract deal, then I don't know where they'll be moving after that. But it's obvious that, that's who they were going with all along. George, you just touched on it when they turned down what we've heard about the Giants offer. So with him coming here, I think it's set. He's your quarterback. Go win some games. Do what you're supposed to do. Try to not do too much, and let the season come to you. Let the fans embrace you. And one other thing on this, George, is if you make your connection with your receivers, we all know the line issue. Let's just hope they block. But if you can start getting that continuity between you and your receivers, and you also, if the Titans will keep the continuity of a coaching staff, an offensive coordinator a couple of years, then I think it'll all come together. So that's where I am with it. I just hope it works. We've seen the same picture year after year after year. So another little nugget here, gold-colored. I don't know if y'all knew it, but last night become the 54th straight year where the New Orleans Saints have never drafted a quarterback in the first round. Since Archie Manning. It was the first time.
Wow.
That was the last time they drafted a quarterback, and with what they're doing. So, and one more thing, just going down the road and talk to you this week. The SEC this weekend, Vanderbilt goes to Ole Miss, play baseball. It's a dog-eat-dog conference, and generally the home team is the team feasting. Vanderbilt needs to do what they did to Georgia here last weekend, take it on the road and win the series down at Ole Miss. So, guys, that's all I've got. Have a great weekend. Y'all talk about it, touch on it. See ya.
Going to be easier said than done.
Yeah, that's not easy to do, especially on the road. We talk about it in basketball all the time. These atmospheres have gotten even better in baseball. And I think on the road, you just don't get swept. If you win your series at home and don't get swept on the road, that's really all you can hope for. And if you do win a road series, that's icing on the cake of whatever you do.
Okay, I want to ask Frank in Smyrna, Tyrone in Brentwood, hang with me. We'll get to you after the break. This is 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
At Wilson Bank & Trust, we believe you shouldn't have to choose between personal service and digital solutions. As your local independent bank, we're proud to offer the relationships and trusted service you expect, along with the tools and technology that keep you moving forward. So whether you're growing a business, buying a home, or planning for the future, we're here to help. Because this isn't just where we work, it's where we live, too. Wilson Bank & Trust, here to get you there. Member FDIC.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2025 season. Create a summer of memories at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, and more. Tickets are on sale now.
Here in Nashville for the 7th Country Music Marathon and Half Marathon. I think it says a lot about the city of Nashville, what it has to offer.
Rock and Roll Nashville isn't just a race. It's the best way to experience this iconic city. We're giving you more music, more fun, and more reasons to run with us. Get immersed in music culture and join us for this legendary tour of Nashville.
The Cats take on the Washington Wolfpack Saturday night, May 17th. Catch the live play-by-play action on 93.3 Totally Hits. For tickets, go to thenashvillecats.com. That's thenashvillecats.com.
Bank anywhere, anytime with Wilson Bank and Trust. Open an account online today and manage your money with ease. Whether you're checking balances, depositing checks, or paying bills, with our secure digital banking solutions, your finances are always at your fingertips. Get started at wilsonbank.com. Wilson Bank and Trust, here to get you there. Member FDIC.
A lot of people want to define teams by singular performances.
Sports. Did he not go back into the game after that interception?
Let's get this turned around. And we're all saying, no, they don't. Here. You thought you were on your way.
Your sports live here. On ESPN 94.9. And the Game Nashville Sports Network. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Day number 2 of the NFL draft will begin in about an hour and 20 minutes. A lot to get into with all of that. Let's go back to the phones. We'll start in Smyrna. Frank, welcome into 94.9 The Fan.
Thank you very much, guys. Good afternoon. First of all, Kelly, I feel your pain,
Yes.
brother.
Oh,
Do you know how
know.
many hours of my – oh, I know, sir. Do you know how many hours of my life I have wasted sitting in traffic in Chattanooga and the surrounding area? Whoever designed that city needs to be hung up by their toes and flogged. I have never. I'll put it this way: while Nashville and Atlanta traffic can make me say things I shouldn't, I think I say more words I shouldn't in Chattanooga. George has heard my tirade; he knows.
Well, it's also the first time we've heard on the show a reference to a public flogging, so it's very serious.
I mean, Chattanooga looks good. In my opinion, it's a beautiful city and a lot of great people down there. But I'm telling you, whoever designed those roads, oh my goodness, it's I have found with Chattanooga, and you know, just if you're going to drive through there, you better get through there before about noon, 1 o'clock. Otherwise, you forget it. You just forget it. It's I can remember the days, and I'll get to why I really call it just a second, but I can remember the days I could leave my house at 1:30, 2 o'clock here in Smyrna and make a Braves game in Atlanta. No problem. Now, if I tried that, I'd get there about the 5th inning if I'm lucky. So, but yeah. So, and south of Atlanta, Kelly, I know I've got friends, a lot of friends in that area. I know it's horrible, you know. So, anyway, as for why I really called Cam Ward, I don't think the Titans had any choice given their needs. They had to draft him. And that being said, you know, as a PSL holder from day one, I just hope and pray it works. They could not afford to be wrong. I mean, this, you know, we've talked about this before. I've said this before. This franchise is teetering on the brink of they're trying to sell PSLs in a new stadium and tickets. They're having trouble selling tickets now for the last 2 years of the current stadium. They have to get this right. And he said all the right things. He's been impressive so far. I hope he works. And, you know, I hope if it works out. And as for the second round, I like the kid, the wide receiver from Missouri. I don't know if he's really a second-round pick, but we need wide receivers. I mean, we don't have any other than Calvin Ridley, and I don't know about Tyler Lockett. I don't know what he's got left in the tank. But to me, you know, the Titans just cannot afford to screw this draft up, and that's why they've been so bad the last several years. That's all that I couldn't tell you the last time they had a good draft. It might have been during the Geneva Convention, as George says. You know, I just that's just where I'm at. And as far as Shedeur Sanders goes, oh my goodness, you talk about overkill last night. My wife looked at me and said, "Will you please just turn this off? I've heard enough about that Shedeur Sanders."
Hey, Frank, I got to run. We got a bunch waiting, but we'll talk about it.
I appreciate it, George. You guys have a good weekend, and welcome home, Kelly.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Is it possible that the real answer here, even though nobody's saying it publicly, is that Brian Callahan made it clear to the powers that be above him, I cannot go through another year of Will Levis?
Oh, no doubt. I think that when you've got if you fall in love with somebody like they did in the draft, you got just like Eric said, you got one opportunity as a number one pick. Hopefully you're not there every year, but you got one opportunity and you got to make it stick. And hopefully he's the right fit for this team, and hopefully that's what they need. And now Brian Callahan can say, "Hey, I've got my guy. I didn't draft Will Levis, but I drafted this guy. So now he's got to ride with him, and if he plays well, then maybe we can have some stability in the organization, because I think Tony said that there's no stability. And you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers and what they've done over time, and just like last night, I still think that Shedeur Sanders is going to go to Pittsburgh, but they didn't jump the gun. That shows you how calm they are. They did not jump the gun. Everybody said, well, Shedeur Sanders is going here. They know, because they've done their research on the whole league and where this is going. And they said, hey, if somebody gets him, they get him. But guess what? We're not going to take him right now because we don't think he's there. So they drafted somebody else. I think he'll probably end up going to Pittsburgh, but who knows? But, you've got one time to get this right, and hopefully they did with Cam Ward.
Yeah, that's the thing about Shedeur Sanders. The whole league had an opinion on him, and the Steelers knew what that was and what it is. And that's what happens. And they can still get. I'm with you, Kelly. I think they do still go get him unless something crazy happens. But that's what people forget.
I'm going the other way. I think some of it's the opinion of Daddy. I don't think they want to deal with. I don't think they want to deal with Daddy. Tyrone and Brentwood, you are up next.
George, the living legend, the iconic George Plaster. What a pleasure it is to talk to you again, sir.
Oh,
same here.
Tyrone.
Save it.
What's your
I like you too, Kelly. I remember you back in the days of Lincoln County in the pit. You had that thing rocking. You was winging that thing. So you're an iconic legend too, my friend.
That's right, baby. I appreciate you, Tyrone. Thanks.
Hold on a second. Now, Kelly has earned the right to take a shot. Billy, you have not.
I got to tell you, though, a couple of things on last night's draft. And for the Titans' sake, when you hear about what the Giants was offering, the fact that I think Travis Hunter is the best player in this draft. I think he's a crown jewel piece. So, and I know you have to try to get a quarterback, I guess, because Levis, that thing has ran its course. You're moving into a new stadium in a couple of years. You do have to sell tickets and put butts in seats. I just hope for their sake he's the guy. He says the right things. He played great football at Washington State. He's played great everywhere he's went. I just hope for their sake that they got this right, because if not, we're going to be sitting here 3-4 years from now. They're going to be back picking, trying to find another quarterback. And when you make mistakes like this, considering the haul they gave up, considering who I believe the best player in this draft is Travis Hunter, you make mistakes like this, it sets you back 5 years. So for their sake, I hope they got it right. Because Travis Hunter sitting there, which I look at the Cleveland Browns and I just go, how stupid can you be? What kind of drugs are you on? You had a crown jewel piece right there. Just draft him. And you trade down. And you think next year's, and I get it, it's a better quarterback draft. And let me just address the elephant in the room. I think no one's going to be surprised if Young Arch is the number one draft pick. You think Pawpaw's going to let him play for you, Cleveland? Hell, he wouldn't let Eli play for the Chargers. You think Pawpaw, big time Archie Man, is going to let his grandson play for you next year? No way, no how. So I don't know but this just shows for your aptitude and the stupidity of their franchise. So we'll see on that. One more thing. I think the steal of this draft, George, is going to be Cal McCord. I think he's the guy. I believe he could be the best quarterback in this class. He played great football at Ohio State. He was made the scapegoat because they lost to Michigan. He played great football at Syracuse. I think there's going to be a lot of teams about 5 years from now going back here. It's going to be like, man, why didn't we just take a football talent with our early pick and get this guy late second, early third, mid third? I think he's a steal in his draft. And I've been told this by somebody in Vegas out tough, and I'll leave on this. Shedeur Sanders will be a Raider tonight. I believe they take him in the second round.
Let's see. I like it. Okay. Why is Kyle McCord getting no pub? The only person getting almost as little is Will Howard.
I'm not sure, George. When you watch Kyle McCord when he played at Ohio State, I wasn't a huge fan. I don't know if he let the pressure of the Buckeye Nation get to him. I mean, it's kind of like, you talk about back in the day when Joe Montana and all those guys played for Notre Dame. That's where, there was a lot of pressure on being a quarterback at Notre Dame. There's a huge amount of pressure of being the quarterback at Ohio State. They've had some good ones come through there. And I don't know, like last year, he played really well at Syracuse. So I think he was probably anxious so much at Ohio State that he didn't let his ability and his talent show. And then last year at Syracuse, he just played ball and he looked really good. So you never know how guys are going to turn out. You really don't. And sometimes guys mature, slower than other guys. And you just never know how a quarterback is going to be because there's so many things. There's so many tangibles that make a good quarterback a great quarterback, and you just don't know when you get them what you've got. And then sometimes guys come in where they could have been good, and they get shell shocked. Back in the day, that's why the Steve McNairs of the world, and back in the day, all those guys used to get to sit and watch a veteran guy. But nowadays, it's such instant gratification. We got to get the first round pick in there, and sometimes guys can't handle that. So you never know what's going to happen with Kyle McCord. He could be. He could be one of those surprises in the draft. You never know.
Yeah, it's the age old, like, which year do you look at? Are you looking at his Ohio State year, or do you look at this past year at Syracuse? I mean, he lit it up.
Right.
He was really good at
You got to decide which one's more important to your thought process.
Yeah,
that's right.
Donnie in Bellevue, final call of the afternoon. Welcome.
Couple things. Real leadership makes good decisions. We made a bad decision. We should have traded the pick, gotten some extra picks. We don't have a tight end. Our top wide receiver is a number 2 wide receiver, and we should have done a better job. I like what Cleveland did. I think it's the best for the long run, and you got to think about the long run. I disagree with what we did. I hope Cam Ward works out, but I'll be watching from TV. I can't afford the tickets. Appreciate y'all. I'll hang up and listen. By the way, George, the Braves are 10-14.
They're getting there.
Nice parting shot, Donnie.
I don't know if he meant that as they suck or they're getting better.
They're coming back. Yeah, they're coming
Donnie,
back.
if you're still there, help me with that. I guess he's gone.
Yeah, Donnie's gone.
He's gone. I don't know. It's
feeling
funny
upbeat.
yeah, he's gone. It's funny how you get all these opinions, man. Everybody thinks, who knows what's right? I mean, that's why all these guys get paid all this money. They get paid to make these decisions. In the last decade or so, even past that, they haven't made good decisions. So you're just hoping as a Titan enthusiast, as a Titan, guy, as a fan, that they made the right decision in Cam Ward. I like him. I think that he's got something that a lot of young men nowadays don't have. They don't have that work ethic. And I think the way he came into college football and the way he had to fight and the way he had to compete, I think that says something. And I'll say it again, he's a winner. Now, time will tell. Time will tell, but nobody truly knows. And I just don't think if you're Brian Callahan and you go another year with Will Levis, I don't know. Where do you go from there as a coach? They were put in a very tough spot because all the free agents that came out, they could not get. They it didn't happen, and then they got put into a tough spot. And I just think, as an organization, as a coaching staff, they don't think that they would be here if they had Will Levis for another year. That's just kind of my feeling.
The free agent quarterback part of it is where I would love to know, did they have a shot at one of those guys, and did they say no? Did they look at a guy and go, nah, we like Cam Ward, and we sort of fallen in love with Cam Ward? I wonder how that went down. But I mean, look, you can look back at this draft, and if Cam Ward doesn't pan out, you can say you should have taken it. But there's always something to say.
It might not be fair to Borgonzi, but the track record of the last 5 to 10 years is so pathetic that people are openly questioning. And he's just got to understand that kind of comes with the territory. Kelly, it's a little bit like the criticism I take on Plaster Bet of the Day. I pay no attention to that garbage you put out there. When we come back, I'll have 3 winners. You can take it to the bank on 94.9. The Fan.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Maybe 2 out of 3.
Looking for your favorite sports?
What sports? You follow sports?
We probably have it. Just log on to the Information Superhighway. They don't call it that anymore?
To start, press any key. Where's the any key?
Head to theGameNashville.com.
The password we're in.
You'll find what time your game starts and what station it's on.
Oh, they have the internet on computers now.
That's what's up. Your sports live here.
What an age we live in.
On the Game Nashville Sports Network.
It's back, the Electronic Express famous half-price fair. Now through Sunday, save up to 50% on 4K TVs, appliances, computers, gaming, washers, dryers, furniture, and more. That's up to 50% off in every department. Need expert help? We've got that. Want up to 36 months free financing? We've got that. Looking for fast delivery? You guessed it. We've got that too. Shop in-store or online anytime at electronicexpress.com. Electronic Express, we've got that.
Family Leisure invites you to vacation at home with your family with a new spa, pool, patio furniture, or wood play gym this summer.
I really want a spa.
Family Leisure has 40 spas on display from 3 of the biggest brand names: Artesian, Best Spas, and American Select. Prices starting as low as $29.99.
What about above-ground pools?
Family Leisure has hundreds of pools in stock and on sale. Guaranteed installation before Memorial Day, starting as low as $29.99. Installed.
Wow, that's great.
If you're looking at a spa, I want some new patio furniture. Family Leisure has patio furniture from all the big brand names like Hanamint, Woodard, Jensen, and Apricity. There's more than 100 sets on display to choose from with free delivery.
That sounds good to me too. And maybe a new Sabre infrared grill to go with it.
We really should look at the wood play gym for the kids. Family Leisure has the Diamond Point swing set on sale at only $24.99 installed. It's Family Leisure's Vacation at Home sale going on now at both huge locations, Franklin and Antioch.
Family and fun come together. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Final segment on a Friday. Time now for Bet of the Day, brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. We take a look at what happened last night. Had a couple of picks, had a win with the Blues, but a loss with the Pistons. They couldn't get it done.
Yeah, whatever.
You're creeping up, George.
I love my pick of the Blues. That was a gutsy play. I've got more gutsy. I got more gutsy plays tonight. Here we go, Kelly. First, let's go to the NBA. Minnesota is simply better than the Lakers. And they're going to prove it tonight up in the Minneapolis area. The series moves to Minnesota for games 3 and 4. I really like Minnesota. I could care less about the struggles they had in the regular season. This is a team loaded with talent, and I think they would love nothing better than to put it to the Lakers, and I think they're going to. Okay, play number 2 out of the hockey. Montreal's down 0-2, but they have played Washington very tough. I think they win tonight at home, and game 4 will get really interesting. And then, Kelly, we have a bonus play for tomorrow, which I know you're thrilled about. Bonus
Okay, let's see
activity.
it. Okay.
Jimmy Butler will play. Now, I don't know that, but I kind of think he's going to play, and if he does, Golden State -2 is a codlock cinch.
Cinch, huh? Is it a book it?
No, it's not.
Come on now, give us a book it because you always lose.
No, I decide when to book it. You will not influence me, or I will not succumb to the pressure. Of course, if we were face to face, I might. Okay, Monday, obviously, we'll do more reviewing of what goes on with the Titans. Here's hoping their weekend turns out really good. And while we're at it, to the folks who are in town for the marathon, enjoy our city. Have a good time. We'll see you Monday here on 94.9 The Fan.